Let you know, man, you are really encouraging me, motivating me, inspiring me. God is really using you.
What's going on, family? You guys are so amazing. I'm Mr. Aos Inspires, and this is Aos The Podcast. How has your week been? I missed you guys. It's been way too long since the last time I came to talk to you guys. I know we drop every week, and I know we drop two Aos notes each week. That's 3 postings a week. I get it. But listen, if I can't talk to you guys every day, I got an issue with that. I miss you guys. So, but I hope that everybody that listens to our podcast, watch it on YouTube, listen to it on Anchor, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and also Spotify. I hope that you guys have had an amazing week. I miss you. We're going to do a little transition this episode. This is episode number 4. Come on, y'all. Let's clap it up for that. Episode number 4. We're making some headway. It's episode number 4. And this week, you already know. So I'm going to just say it. You already see the notes. You already see it on Facebook, Instagram, whatever you're looking at it. You see it already. But I'm talking about something on today. We're still dealing with a relationship. I told you this whole year we're going to deal with nothing but relationship in different aspects. Romantic, financial, all that stuff. We're going to deal with relationship. But today, this is something that really gets my gears running. Like for real. Like it really gets me and it bothers me. And I'm not saying that because it makes me mad because my parents didn't do it. I love it that they didn't do it. Right now, however, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a cultural thing, right? Because I see it in our other counterparts. They don't do it like that. But only in the black community that I hear this all the time. And you hear it in some communities sometimes as well, but it's more prevalent in the black community where people say, when you turn 18, you're getting out of my house. Like, how many of us, let's really be honest, have heard that? Or let's look at this other statistic. How many of y'all have been victims? I'm gonna say victim. How many of y'all have been victims of that? Now, before I get some hate mail from some parents, you don't know what they did. Now, let me clear this up. The only way, and even with this, I believe that it should be some more measures that's taken. But even with this, the only way that I can understand why you kick your child out when they turn 18 is if they're really disrespectful. Now, that's the only way. But that's not the area we're talking about on today. There's so many people that have children that are not disrespectful. They'll be like, 18, you out of here, brother. You out of here, sister. You got to go. And I think that's only big. It's a big number in the African American, in the black community. We kick our babies out at 18, and I'm going to break some things down that maybe, just maybe, we didn't take into consideration before we said all this stuff. I want to take this into consideration. So the podcast on today, is kicking my kid out at 18 wrong? That's what I want to know. Is kicking my kid out. Kid is a baby goat. So is kicking my children out at 18 wrong? Yes, I think so. Listen, I want to suggest to you today. I wouldn't do it. Me personally, my oldest is 14. I wouldn't do it. No, at 18 years old, ask yourself this: what do they know? Now, like I said, I want to break this thing down. And I've never, what's crazy? I've never really heard this topic. Maybe I never searched the topic either. Maybe it's out there, but I've never heard it. But I want to talk about it on today, and hopefully we can shed some light on this thing. Why? Because there's so many parents that's making this decision to kick their kids out at 18. And what do you know at 18? Like, what do you know? Now, let's clear it up. This is not for every parent, right? I get it. It's a struggle financially. I get it. But this is a major thing. I'm going to call my parents today and say, listen, let me get $2,000. And they say, for what? They probably send it to, but they'd be like, for what? What you need $2,000 for? This is going to be the answer that I say, listen, I didn't ask to be here. You guys brought me into, I'm being funny. I'm just joking. But no, let me get $2,000. Let's run that right quick. But anyway, that's what I would tell my parents. Kick me out at 18. Get out. Time to go. Why? Like, I didn't ask to be here. Like, you decided, right, to make something happen. Now I'm here. Like, I didn't ask to be here. Right? I was somewhere else cooling it. But I'm glad I'm here though. But I ain't asked to be here. That's just a little humor. But let's really dive deep into this thing. Many people kick their children out at 18. You got to go. It's time for you to go. But statistics suggest this. Think about this statistic. Statistics suggests, they take analytical study, that most people don't buy their first home until 30 years old. So most homeowners are 30 years old. They start off, and you're trying to kick your baby out at 18. Like, they don't listen. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, because this is a really big topic for me. Because our whole mission at AOS, the podcast, is to empower the world to never give up. That's what I want to do. I want to empower you so that you never give up on life holistically, everything, every aspect of your life. But if statistics show that most kids, or most people, I'm going to say people, not kids, not children, people, adults, don't purchase their first home until they are 30 years old, why are you kicking me out at 18? Why? Like, what sense does that make? It doesn't make no sense. It doesn't. You're kicking me out at 18 and I don't even know what my left from my right for real. I'm still trying to figure life out. Like, I still want to go and play video games. You got some grown folks that still play video games too, but I still want to do kiddish stuff. 18 years old. Most 18-year-old children, young adults, however you want to call it, however you want to classify it. My parents just say, you ain't grown till you get out my house and you start paying your own bills and you can float yourself. That's when you grow, right? But most 18-year-olds are not that responsible. They are responsible to a degree, but life, they're not responsible as it pertains to life. Most 18-year-olds, now there's a lot of 18-year-olds, because a lot of parents have done their due diligence on the front end, right? That they are responsible. They understand financial literacy. They understand credit. They understand different aspects of life that if their parents were to die, they can sustain. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those that kick their children out and you haven't given them, okay, I've lived by example. No, you didn't. Like, I don't even know how you handle your bills. I don't even know what your credit score is, right? Because this is the thing. The question is, have you prepared them? Better yet, what have you prepared them for? Wait, I know that you're enjoying the podcast, but let me ask you a question. Are you following us on Instagram and also Facebook? This is what I want you to do if you're not. Every single day, we post 3 times a day to encourage your heart. So many people say this, I'm not motivated. It's hard to stay focused. My question becomes to you, who are you and what are you connected to? Connect with us right now on Facebook, Instagram, aos.inspires. I promise you, every day, 3 times a day, the post is going to help you out. That's the question that we need, as parents, we need to ask ourselves. What have I prepared my child for? And many of you, we have failed in this because we try to do it in the 4th quarter of high school, maybe 10th grade, we'll start, what college you want to go to. Then you start preparing them and asking them what do they want to do after high school, as if you're trying to say after high school, once you graduate, you're out of here. No. I need you to start preparing them. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not being as hard on you because I learned late in the game myself. But I need to start preparing them for life when they're 10 years old, 8 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, 14 years old, 5 years old. I teach my son now. When you get money, I teach all my kids, when you get money, save some and then invest some and spend some. That's that. And let me share this with you real fast, right? Many of you are going to get mad, but Jimmy Crack Corn, I don't care. This is my podcast. You would never be financially free working for somebody. Never. You can never make major moves financially working for somebody. Why is that? I used to be a merchant marine. Now I'm speaking from example, from experience. Like, I used to be a merchant marine, right? And as a merchant marine, we would go out, and back in those days, this was 20 years ago, back in those days, you could work on the ship for 4 months and take a month off. Well, I was young, so I really didn't have too much to do, so I stayed on the ship for a whole year. I think I stayed on my first ship for about 3 years straight, consecutive. I took a few days off here and there, but for the most part, for what? I'll do everything I need to do when I get off. So, being a merchant marine, I was making $100,000 a year. Easy. $100,000 a year I was bringing in. At 18 years old. Right? So when I graduated, my parents were like, hey, what do you want to do? You want to go to college? Well, you can go to ODU, that was a prime school. I could have, we had the means to go to college, right? My parents asked me, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I was about to go to the Navy. No shade to the Navy. I'm glad that I didn't go, but no shade to the military. I did join the formal military, but I didn't join the Navy. I was about to go, but I failed the ASVAB test. I believe that's what the test was called. I failed it. Why? I think I failed it. Let me clear this up. I think I failed it because I had asthma. Let me clear this because I don't want you to know, bro, stupid. Nah. I failed it because I had asthma, right? And so I couldn't get in. So I was grateful for that, right? Don't ask me how I got into the Merchant Marines. I don't know. But grace of God. But I got into the Merchant Marines at 18 years old. I was making $100,000 a year. Now, although my parents never taught me about financial literacy, right? My dad's whole mantra was you make money and you save money, right? My dad at that point when I was growing up wasn't big on investments. My dad didn't own a company and say, hey, listen, this is how you do this. So financial literacy, I had to learn on my own. I learned about credit on my own. Now, my mom, I'm going to be honest with you. And there's no shade against my parents. My parents did the best that they could. I'm going to show you something that my mom, she actually did set me up for success, right? So back then, the information or the access to information about credit wasn't available to my parents or that generation at all. Like I remember encyclopedias being in the house. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have iPads. We didn't have computers, right? We had encyclopedias that you had to do the research in the encyclopedia. And I guarantee they didn't have a line in the encyclopedia for credit. How do you fix and repair your credit? They didn't have that. Now, the only thing that my mom knew about credit was when you get bills, you pay it on time. And I'm going to tell you this. My mom, shouts out to my mom, she did me a solid. When I joined the Merchant Marine, my first year, I came back from overseas. I think we were gone for 9 months. I was on this ship for 3 years. My first ship was a USNS Arctic, right? And when I got on the ship, I came back. When I came back, I bought a vehicle. I bought a Toyota 4Runner. And I can't remember if my mom and dad was with me or my mom. I don't know how it was. I think it was my mom was with me, right? And she was a monster with the deal, I believe. I think it was her, right? She was like, oh, so I went to Navy Federal. I got a check approved for $22,000, right? It was a lot of money back then. Now, it's not that much money. But I remember vividly, I bought this Toyota 4Runner, 2002 Toyota 4Runner. And I think the 4Runner had about 16,000 miles on it. That's what I want to say. It was practically brand new, right? And I bought it for $22,000. Now, they were trying to sell it for $24,000, something like that. So I went on the test drive. She said, you like it? I said, yeah, I like this, so I won't. She's like, all right, cool. All right, so she said, okay, what's the best that you can do? He was like, best I can do is like 25 out the door. She said, no, that's not going to work for us. All right, go back to your manager. If he can do 22 right now, we'll get it. She said, he was like, I don't think we can do that. So he came back 23. No, 22 is what we can do. We give you a check. She changed the verbiage. We give you a check right now for $22,000 out the door. He went back, came back. You got a deal out the door. $22,000. Bought my first vehicle out the door. I think my payments were, and I'm building up to something. My payments on that was, I want to say like $350. I want to say $350. I want to say that. It was something, I know it was 3 something, right? So, and back then we didn't have online banking. There was no such thing as a touchscreen phone or you can log in on the internet. We didn't have that. So when we went overseas, again, my mom, she would handle all my financials as far as paying my car note, paying my insurance. I came back. I was making so much money that I didn't miss the money that was going out. I didn't miss it, right? I was making that much money. I'm 18 years old. I'm young. What do I know? Nothing, right? She set me up for success. She was paying $600 a month for my car note. $600 a month. Now, she wasn't paying it. She was taking it out of my money, paying it for me, right? So she was making sure that everything on my financial side was taken care of. Now, one thing I can say about my mom, she gonna make sure a bill paid. Now, I mean, it's gonna be paid, on time, and that's where you meet a lot of older people that have good credit. Grandma, they all had good credit. Why? Because this is the thing. Back then, they believed my word is my law. Like, what I say is what I'm standing on. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, right? So that's the word that they stood on. So my mom paid my car note $600 a month. My car note $3-something. Why are you paying $600? I didn't know. And at that time, she didn't understand how to explain financial literacy to me. She didn't know how to, right? So the only thing she could do was she prepared me how she did it, paying $600 a month. She paid $600 a month, right? So I fast forward a little bit, and I'm still on point. Don't kick your kids out of 18. Fast forward a little bit, she set me up for success. I think she did that for about 2 years straight. $600 a month. So, of course, I'm paying down the depreciation value, well, not depreciation value. I'm paying down the interest, right? I'm paying more on the principal than I am the interest at this time. So I remember when I went to Atlanta, moved to Atlanta, and I was looking at this Lotus, right? I was like, man, that Lotus. I saw this Ferrari first. I didn't really understand finances at the time. All I knew is if I wanted it, I'm going to put a check in, I'm going to get it. They know, right? This is how I knew my mom set me up for success. I still don't know nothing about credit at this time, right? So I looked at it. I'm like, wow, this Lotus is $41,000. This was 20 years ago now. I'm pretty sure Lotuses are now almost 100,000, if not over. This Lotus was $41,000. I never forget, I was at the Lamborghini dealership in Roswell, in Atlanta. I called Navy Federal, had them, listen, I need a check for $41,000 when I pick up this car. Guess what they said? Okay, hold on. Okay, Mr. Scott, you come pick up your check. What? Wait a minute. I'm not understanding the weight of this thing here. At $41,000, 5 minutes on the phone, I can come pick up a check. Now, looking at hindsight, I had a credit score of 800. I think it was probably about 850, to be honest with you. There's a few other things that she helped me do, trade lines and stuff like that I didn't know nothing about. I'm just now learning now, understanding fully, right? So what I'm saying is, what have you prepared your children for? What have you prepared them for? Now, it's one thing now, like I said, if my mom understood, my parents understood financial literacy and they understood credit, they would have set me down and taught me these things. Hey, a trade line is this. Hey, if you get a credit card, keep it under 10% utilization. Make sure that you pay your credit card off, not on the due date, but on the statement date. That's a big one. I'm dropping bars for y'all. Y'all need to catch these bars. Pay your credit card off on the statement date, not the due date. The due date and the statement dates are two different dates. What is the statement date? The statement date is the date that reports to your credit bureaus of your utilization. All right, this is not a financial literacy podcast. Let me keep on going. So what are you preparing your children for? Right? Your children will be a reflection of what they see at home. Period. They will be a reflection of what they see at home. That's it. Like, what do you show your children? What do you expose to your children at home? Do you expose to them about financial literacy? Because if you don't, it's going to show. Little Ray get $50. What you doing? Go buy me. Give me $50 more so I give me some Jordans. No, I can't get no Jordans. Air Force Ones now. Right? They will be a reflection of what they see at home. Now, let me share this with all the adults. They're like, yeah, that's right. My parents didn't teach me. That's why I don't know now. Now, you will be born looking like your parents, but you're going to die looking like your decisions. Bars. What do they see at home? So now you're 40 years old, you're 35 years old, and you're in a messed up situation financially. You can't blame your parents. Do some research. Find out it's your fault now. You can't blame them after 25 years old. You no longer can you use the excuse, I didn't ask to be here. That's cool. You're here now. So now you need to figure everything out, right? Your children will be a reflection of what they see at home, right? Now watch this. Have you taught them, let's erase that. Have you taught yourself financial literacy? You're talking about kicking your child out at 18. You got to go figure out life on your own. Have you taught them financial literacy? Have you taught yourself financial literacy? Now, let me look at it from the lazy side. You can say, you know what? I don't know nothing about financial literacy. Now, there's this movie. It's called Gifted Hands, right? This is why I'm using this angle. This was a great movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. He was a brain surgeon, I believe, right? Great movie. The mom didn't know how to read. Right? She made them get into reading, right? Because reading would change your life. That's why I understood why my dad would want me to read before I can go outside. Write a report, read a book, write a report so you can go outside because it was important. Watch this. I'm piecing the puzzle together, right? She could not read. But what she did was, watch this, she put her children in the atmosphere so what she couldn't do, they could do. Oh boy. So the question becomes, are you putting even if you're not financial literate, right? Even if you don't know anything about finances, are you putting your children in an atmosphere where they can learn and grow? That's the question that I want to ask you. Are you putting your children in an atmosphere where they can learn and grow? Most children in most cases will be interested in what you're interested in. If all you're interested in is drinking and smoking and cussing up, guess what? They're going to follow. But if you show interest, like it's crazy. Like I show interest in podcasting and videos and editing and all that good stuff. Guess what my daughter's like? Can I help you with the camera? Can you teach me? They will be interested. I'm telling you not what I think. I'm telling you what I know. They will be interested in what you're interested in. I hate the saying, go find out for yourself. I did. Well, maybe you didn't have access to information. Maybe you didn't have a choice. Like, I hate when parents be like, hey, just go find out for yourself. I found out for myself. You got to get it on your own. No. That's why you birthed them, to guide them throughout this life. They still need guidance. Period. Why are you pushing them off? They need guidance. Don't kick your babies out at 18 years old. Now, this is the reason why. Most of our dumbest decisions will be made when we're young. Now, granted, you make some dumb decisions when you get old too, but most of our dumb decisions will be made when we're young. Now, this is a big one. Be mindful now. I'm coming to a quick close. Be mindful. Some mistakes are not repairable. Some mistakes that we make at a young age cannot be repaired. Now, the mistakes that we made as a child in my generation were repairable. We'll do some crazy stuff, throw eggs, stuff like that. I'm not talking about 18, but you know what I'm saying? The mistakes that we made as a child were kind of repairable, right? We didn't go over the edge. Now, the mistakes that these children are making now are not repairable, right? And I'm going to be honest, I'll be the first one to admit, anger. I try my best not to show the anger and the rage in front of my children. If I get mad I try my best to restrain myself, but sometimes, it's just hard. But we have to understand that our children is watching. So what I'm saying is about the unrepairable mistakes. They see you act out of anger every single time. Guess what they're going to do when they get out there in the world and somebody says something to them that they don't like, that they feel that's being disrespectful? Their anger is going to take. That's why you have so many kids. I'm in DC right now. I hear about so many kids being killed every single day somebody's getting killed. Most times it's a teenager killing somebody. Because of what I seen at home. Nobody ever spent the time with me, right? Before they sit me out in the world. This is another thing too. Well, let me finish this statement first. Nobody ever spent the time with me before they sit me out there in the world to fend for myself. I need you to harvest this talent, this gift that you see inside of me. Even if you don't see anything inside of me, try to put something inside of me. Spend time with me. Period. I saw this on the interview. It was on $1 Million Worth of Game. They had Kevin Hart up there. And Kevin Hart would say this. He said that he lived in the hood, right? He was raised up in the ghetto. And one of the guys on the podcast, Gilly, he was like, you wanted to hang with us on the block. He said, yeah, I did. I wanted to hang with you guys on the block, but every second and every hour of my day was accounted for. My mom made sure that I was in something extracurricular, whether it was dancing, whether it was singing, whether it was swimming, whether it was basketball, football. My parents kept me busy. So I didn't have an opportunity. This is what Kevin Hart said. I didn't have the opportunity to go in the streets and do stupid stuff because all of my time was accounted for. I think that two things, and I'm done. Let me move on. Two things. I think that if we had our children in accountability of doing something extracurricular, I think that that will lower the chances of these meaninglessly deaths. I butchered that word. Senseless deaths. Let's say that. Y'all know when people don't know how to pronounce a word, so they use another word in replacement. That's what I just did. But that's one thing. But another thing too, I think that if every African American person would get at least $100,000 in life insurance, I promise you the deaths that we see in our neighborhoods, in our community, it would change. I promise you. These insurance companies are like, we can't keep on paying out $500,000 a week. No, more like $2 million a week, the way that people are killing each other. I guarantee you something would change. All right, this is the next one. We are too prideful. Parents, we're too prideful to be like, listen, I'm not good in this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link you with this person so that they can mentor you. Financial literacy, how to, work in life. Why? Why are we so prideful? Because we feel like our way is the right way, even though it's the wrong way. It's not working out for you. I'm not downing nobody, but you don't even like the way that your life is turning out. Why would you try to regurgitate that on another generation? Stop being prideful. Let me put you with a better mentor than I am. You may not say it to your child like that, but that's your intent. I'm not a good mentor for you. That's maturity, right? If somebody comes to me and asks me to coach them on how to be a good cook, maturity will say, yes, the money would be great to have, but I'm not the person for that job. Let me put you in the right direction. Let me point you in the right direction. I'm not the one for the task. I believe if more parents would do that, I guarantee you we would see a different outcome in our generations of children. This is another one. If you don't know something, learn it. Period. We bend over back to buy our children shoes. PlayStation 5 is like $600. We bend over back. You can barely pay your mortgage, your rent, your car. You behind on stuff, but you buying $600 game consoles. You bend over back to buy shoes, clothes, games, etc. But things that don't matter, that depreciate, that they gonna change next year, you spend your money on. Things that help them out in life, you say it's too hard. Reevaluate your whole life. Not half of your life, your whole life, right? I'm gonna leave you with these few tips. This is what our children need. Even after 18, they need guidance, structure, reassurance, motivation, encouragement. They need you to work together with them. Why? So that you can build a real bond.
Man, you are really encouraging me, motivating me, inspiring me. God is really using you to help me out, brother.